Welcome. This is a spa yoga class geared to opening up many different parts of the hips. Before we get started, please make sure that you have a cushion or a sturdy pillow or a yoga bolster that you can use throughout the class, and set it aside for now. Position your body comfortably. You could sit or you could lie down, and if you're comfortable doing so, place your hands around your low abdomen and around your hips. Take a deep breath down into that space. Our hips represent so much for us. They represent our ability to flow through transitions and changes in our lives, and the ability that we have to make choices throughout these changes. So now please place your bolster on your mat so that you can lie your upper back and the back of your head onto the cushion or bolster. Keep your sitting bones on your mat. Your feet can be flat with your legs bent on the mat. And just recline over the bolster to feel a sweet little shoulder opener. Option to have your arms more at your sides on the floor with your palms facing up, or arms could be wider out in a T shape. And to get into the hips, you could take your legs into a diamond shape on the floor, soles of your feet together, knees wide open. And now this is a passive pose, passive way to open the pelvis, the front of the pelvis, and the chest. So surrender your body weight down into the prop and down into the floor. Let go. Let go. It's time to turn your focus within, and maybe to give a little more breath and loving thoughts towards your hips. Maybe towards any way that you feel stuck in life right now, or stuck within yourself right now. And when we free the hips, we are reminded that we have freedom of choice as well. In every moment, in every breath, we can show up. We can be present with ourselves and gentle with ourselves if we want to be. You're welcome to remain in this position as long as you'd like. If you're going to start moving with me now, then have the soles of your feet flat on the floor, knees pointing up. Remove your prop over to the side and lie back down on your mat. Widen your feet even more, mat width, so that your bent knees fall into touch in the middle. Deep breath into your hips. Really being present for yourself, no matter what you're going through right now, no matter what your body's going through right now, is such a wonderful practice. Let's thread the needle across your right ankle over your left thigh and clasp your hands behind your left hamstrings. With your feet flexed, your toes spread apart, use your hands to draw your left knee towards your left armpit, but work your inner right knee away from your right armpit. And again, can you keep your attention set on those hips? Can you keep your breath in your hips? No matter what's coming up, it changes. It is changing. It will change. Now just bring your left foot down to the floor and move your hips a little bit towards the left and let your knees fall all the way over to the right, so that you still have your feet spaced apart here, and you're letting your right knee come a little lower down to the mat away from your hips. You'll definitely have your left bum lifted away from the floor. You could have your arms wide out and breathe down the whole front left side of your body. Untangle any tension down the front left thigh. And come back through center. Have your feet flat on the mat just for a breath in the middle. You can switch sides for thread the needle, left ankle over right thigh, hands clasped behind right hamstrings. Go immediately into your left hip with deeper breaths through your nose. And when we breathe through the nose, we help to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which is this branch that governs rest and digest. When we're in the parasympathetic, we're literally signaling to the brain and the body that we are at ease, that we are present, that we are in the flow, no matter what's coming up. And then keep your number 4 legs, but just bring your right foot onto the floor and let your knees fall all the way over to the left. If there's any pain down your right knee, you can remove your left foot off your outer right thigh. Shoulder blades pressing down, chest opening, front of your right quad opening. Big breaths into that space and those spaces. Remembering how multifaceted the hips are. We're going to do a lot of good stuff for different sides of them in this practice. One more breath here. And then coming through center, feet flat on the floor. Draw one knee in and the other knee in. Wrap your arms around your shins. As you give yourself a little hug, you could rock from side to side on your low back and just notice how that might change the stretch around the low back. Keep your breath intentional and deep. Roll over to one side, come up onto hands and knees. Hands lined up under your shoulders, fingers spread apart, knees hip width apart. Cat-cows. Lift your chin, open your chest as you inhale. Exhale, look towards your belly button and round in. Inhale, arc your spine as your sit bones lift. Exhale, round and tuck your tailbone in. Keep going like that with your breath, with your hands actively pressing and gripping into the floor. Enjoying the simplicity of opening the front of the spine and the back of the spine. Whenever you feel ready, we'll meet in extended child's pose with knees a touch wider, hips back towards heels. Outstretch your arms. And is there anywhere in your body that needs a little more breath right now? Is there anything going on in your mind that needs a little more attention and a little more breath? Breathe it in and breathe it out. Child's pose is a great one to stay in. If you're feeling called to remain, please do. Or you can sit up on your heels at the back of your mat and tent your 10 fingertips behind your feet by a couple inches and lift your upper chest straight up to the ceiling. Gaze up on a little bit of a diagonal, keeping length in the back of the neck. Give your upper chest a few big breaths. Continue squeezing your shoulder blades together behind you. And on your next exhale, slide your hands to your kneecaps. Lean and round back a lot with straighter arms, chin down to chest. Couple breaths here. Next inhale, bring your fingertips behind you on the mat. Lift your chest as high up as it can go, as wide open as you can. Exhale, hands slide to kneecaps. Hunch your shoulders forward now. Round back, look down. Return to all fours, hands and knees. Place your right foot between your hands. Check your back knee. Make sure your legs are hip width apart. Rise up, hands on your hips. Low lunge. You can just keep hands on hips or place hands on low back as you inhale, chest up. And as you exhale, slide your hands to your front knee and round, like we just did sitting on the heels. Again, hands on low back, lift your heart. As you breathe out, hands slide to the front kneecap, round. Again, inhale, chest up. And as you exhale, hands on knees, but try to lean back away from your knee as you round. Again, inhale, lift your heart. Take another breath or two right here. Can you lunge deeper into the front knee, but hug belly button into spine? Sweetly release your hands down inside your right foot. Wiggle your right foot an inch to the right. Either stay up on your palms or bend your arms about halfway, dip a bit lower into lizard. Or you could grab a prop if you do have that cushion or pillow nearby and you want to slide it under your elbows. That's what I'm going to choose. Hug your front knee close into the shoulder. Have your hips neutral so that you feel your right hip pulling back and your left hip rotating forward. Lots of breath for those hips. Release yourself as you rise up. We're going to stay on this foot, but just walk your foot to the center of your thumb so that your right foot is right in the front center of your mat. Roll to the outer edge of your front foot, toes flexed up strongly. This is called awkward pigeon or finger stand pigeon. Let your right knee fall out to the right about halfway. So it's a much more active pigeon. We're not letting the knee come all the way down. Stay really strong in your front ankle as your toes flex up to your shin. And maybe inch your chest a bit lower towards the right foot. Again, a new and interesting part of the hip, of the right hip to explore. Come to hands and knees onto all fours and lift your heart as you inhale. Round your back as you exhale. Cinch your belly button in. On the next inhale, open your chest up. Round like an angry cat as you breathe out. Again. And press back to child's pose. Forehead heavy, unclench your jaw, let yourself rest for a breath or two, or longer if that's what your body is asking for. So sweet to pause throughout class and notice how your body receives the poses. When you're ready, set up for the other side. From hands and knees, left foot between your hands. Come on up, hands on hips. Bend your front knee over your front ankle. Park your hands on your low back and lift your heart. Arc back as you inhale. Hands slide to front knee. Exhale, round. Draw your navel in. Again, hands on low back. Keep your belly in. Lift your heart. Round as you exhale, steady in your left foot, plant it. Keep going, opening and closing, rounding in. And then we'll meet with the hands on the low back for an extra breath. Go up with your chest and back with your outer shoulders. Gently land your hands inside your left foot. Widen your left foot a little more. Option 1 is to stay up on your palms, straight arms. Or perhaps you bend your arms a little bit. Or you can dip your elbows down onto your prop. Hug your left knee to your left shoulder while working your outer left hip back in space. Just connect to that sweet, slow, steady breath in and out. The hips really represent the idea that things are always changing. Things are fluid in life and in ourselves. And the breath is the simplest way to remember this. Change is constant and it's personified in the breath. Rising to your hands and set up for your awkward pigeon. Wiggle your left foot more to the right so your left foot is in the front center of your mat. Flex on your foot. Roll to the razor's edge, the outer edge of your left foot. Hands might walk a bit wider or a bit further forward. And see what happens in your pelvis when your chest dips lower down. And what happens in your breath? Last deep breath here. Take your time to plant your hands shoulder width on your mat. Bring your left knee beside your right knee for some cat-cows on all fours. Go at your own pace. And by all means, you could be in child's pose instead if that's what your body is asking for and calling for. Let's all meet in a child's pose. Another sweet little option here is to perhaps bring your palms in prayer, bend your arms so your prayer points up to the sky. Elbows crawl a bit further forward. Feel your elbows firmly push down and forward and your hips pull back towards your heels, lengthening out your sides. Now, can you get your breath to help make more length and space as well? As you release your forearms to the earth, come onto hands and knees and take your right shin forward for pigeon. Look over your left shoulder, walk your back leg further back. Just be sure that your right knee is behind your right wrist, not too wide with your front knee. Option to take your prop and set it underneath your right hip. You can stay up on your hands or lower to your forearms so that your spine is lengthening over your right shin. I always like shifting a little more to the left hip and a little more to the right hip, and just kind of stay and find the spot with more sensation. If you want to find a little more sensation, you can walk your forearms to the left any amount, almost like you're lining up your navel over your front foot, your right foot. Draw your right sitting bone back and be aware of what's going on when you've just changed the direction of your torso slightly here. Slowly walk your forearms over to the right, aligning yourself more over your right knee or over your right thigh. Turn your outer left hip forward and down. Deep breaths into your pelvis and your outer hips. And come back through center for final deep breath. Let go around the jaw. I know we're here for a little bit. Nice. Come on out of this onto all fours, hands and knees for a few cat-cows, arcing and rounding. It's such a simple, sweet way to get into so many spots along the spine with these cat-cows. Prepare for pigeon on the left side. Take your left shin forward so your left knee is behind your wrist or just inside your wrist. The knee a little narrower is much more spacious for our lower backs. You can stay up on your hands or recline to your elbows, and if you want more support, prop could go underneath your left hip. And if there's any knee sensitivity, I always recommend taking thread the needle on the back, how we did at the start of class today. And you'll probably be noticing a difference in this hip compared to the right hip. Without judgment, give this hip breath. The imbalances are part of being human. Either remain folding over the middle or walk your forearms to the right, aligning yourself more over the front foot. And in your own time, you can crawl through center with the forearms into the other direction. Release any kind of strain in your neck or your jaw. so that you can really focus on your hips. Breathe down around your hips. Feel them grow earthier and heavier. Feel tightness unraveling everywhere if you can. Come through center for final breath, big release. And as you crawl up onto your hands, go to hands and knees for heart pose with your forearms on the ground now and forearms shoulder width apart. Drop your forehead onto the mat and have your hips over your knees in space. You might find you need to walk your knees back a little bit. You can stay it like that or bend your arms with palms in prayer so that your prayer fingers point up to the ceiling. And as you actively root through your elbows or your forearms if they're down, let your hips lean back and up into the sky. And now as you lower your forearms, look to your hands and just come to slide onto your stomach. Lower your hips and your belly down for Sphinx pose. In Sphinx, we're propped up on our elbows, so the chest is quite lifted. Have your elbows underneath your shoulders, and your forearms also shoulder width apart. Without moving your hands, try to drag them back towards you to widen and lift your chest even further. Breathe along the front lines of your body. Maintain the lifted sensation in your heart, but release your chin a little bit or a lot towards the chest and maybe rock your chin side to side for a lovely little neck release into the back of the neck. Bring your head upright and walk your forearms over to the left a few inches or even more. For me, I have my left forearm completely off the mat, but elbows are still shoulder width. And now look towards the left and maybe down towards your left armpit. So stretch and breathe, open the whole right side and even into the right side of your neck. Bring your head to center and then walk your forearms slowly. Go gentle as you come to center, gently and all the way over to the right now. And your body will definitely tell you when you've walked your forearms far enough to the right. Your left side will tell you, this left side of the hip will tell you. See if you can just tuck your right ear towards your right shoulder and you might look down with your right eye to your right armpit. With your elbows equally pressing down, soak your breath through your whole left side. Gently returning to center. Let your hands stack, forehead rests on your hands. With bent legs, swing your feet side to side in the air. Maybe a little roll over onto your back. Bring your right knee in, interlace your hands around your right shin, left leg long on the ground. Flex your feet. Imprint your shoulder blades into your mat to broaden your chest. Big breath. Twist your right knee all the way across your body. Take your left hand on top of your outer right knee. Reach your right arm wide out to the right. Look up or maybe look over to the right. And let your spine ring out here in this twist. Maybe deepening the twist as you exhale and hug your low belly in. And again, exhale, hug your navel in and twist. Untwist and draw your left knee in. Clasp your hands around your left shin, right leg on the ground. Deep breath, stretching your left glute. And set up for your twist. Take your left knee as you're ready across your body. And reach your left arm out to the left. And if you're finding that your low back is kind of talking to you a little bit, it's helpful to put a prop underneath your inner left knee so your knee rests on the prop and you're not kind of forcing a deep twist that your low back doesn't love. You just give yourself breath, all that feels really good within this moment and all that is coming up that maybe isn't enjoyable, any repetitive conversations in your mind, whatever it is, give it all breath and it will change. You've already done so much for your hips. Now we're getting into the mind and the patterns of the mind. Things are always changing. You can change. I'd love for our final pose, as you're ready for it, to be a supported bridge, just to open the front of the hips a little more. If you'd rather rest in a more traditional Shavasana, please feel free to do so. Or you'll have your cushion underneath your low back, maybe your feet mat width, so your bent knees can fall towards one another. Let this be spacious. Open up your body. You've already done so much opening in the practice. Open up so that you can really receive the benefits of letting go. And it's often in these moments of letting go where the real changes are starting to imprint and reprogram. We've already made the choice to be here. We've done the work. We can let go and trust now. Might be nice to stay in the supported bridge for the remainder of class. But if you're going to come back to the rest of your day, we're going to slowly remove the prop and lower the sitting bones down to the ground. And after a breath, you can hug your knees in or find happy baby with your knees really wide. Feet hold somewhere around your lower legs, around your ankles, or your hands hold your feet. Hands holding something. Knees super wide. Deep breath. for those lovely inner thighs. The hip love just doesn't end. Just like this practice of breathing and of opening up, it never ends. You can always choose to stay present and keep doing the work. Take your time to come up to sitting. Maybe place your hands on your low abdomen, just as we started class, around your hips. Take a big breath into your hips. Every time you choose to be here and you choose to be in your body, you're changing something. If you let go of something in your hips today, please thank your body for that. For all that you were holding and all that you let go, you did it. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. It's always great to share this practice with you. I love spa yoga. Glad you love it. Namaste.